Hello. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning. Today we're going to be talking about trust. So, at the end of the day, when we're building our connection to our intuition, trust is like, there's a lot of like keys to building intuition. Self-belief is one of them. If we don't have self-belief and we don't believe in ourselves, then we're not even going to put forth the effort, right? And then on the back end of that, and the back end of putting forth the effort, comes the trust. So trusting is another big thing when it comes to honing our intuition, our intuitive skills. So the first thing that I want to talk about is ego versus intuition. This is something that comes up a lot. A lot of people ask me about this, and how do I tell the difference between my ego and my intuition? I'm hearing messages, but I don't know if it's just my ego. And this comes with time. And what I usually encourage people to do is to go ahead and take the action anyways. So even if you're not 100% certain that it's ego or intuition, and it's probably some combination of both, especially in the beginning, you won't know until you follow through on that. So you have to complete the cycle, get the message and complete the trust cycle, right? It's like get the message, take action, analyze, or reflect. It's a better word. So, how did it feel when I took that action? When I went through, it's like when I think about this, kind of like when I do email readings, I'm connecting to the energy of the person and I'm putting it in an email. But when the email gets to them and they read it, that's when the cycle completes, right? Because that's when they're receiving the energy. It's the same thing, right? We get a message, we follow through with the action. That's when we're receiving that energetic message, right? So it's not actually complete. I never actually thought about it this way, but it's not actually a complete energetic exchange until you take the action. And when you do that, that's when you'll be able to sense like something still felt off about this. Maybe there was a little ego in here. Maybe there was a little fear of missing out. And I did it anyways, So start to evaluate when you follow through, like looking at how did these things feel, and the ego and intuition part will shake itself out. It also will shake itself out over time. So again, the more that we clear our channels, the more that we clear our vessels from all of the noise and all the mud that's within them, we can start to receive messages with clarity. It's why subconscious work is so important. If you missed the healing on success last night, go watch that and receive that. Receive that subconscious clearing. The more we clear, whether that's energetically, subconsciously, physically, right? The more we actually cleanse and detox our bodies, cleansing our environment, right? Like caring about the places that we're putting ourselves in and how clean they are. Because we're so connected, because we're so, our energy is like one in the planet. it's important for us to care about all of the things that we're consuming, the people around us, our environment, the food that we eat, the products that we use, the teachers we listen to. Make sure all that's really clean and that you're detaching from the idea of someone else knowing more than you or knowing better than you what's for you, because only you know that. Truly, only you know that. So over time, as you get better at cleansing your environment and your vessel and just being in a super pure, clean space, your energy is protected, right? Go back to the morning routine that I shared and look at the grounding and protecting exercise that I did. Towards the end of it, I walk you through my energy practices in the morning. How grounded and protected is your energy, right? So not only is it clean and pure, but are you protecting it so that it continues to stay yours, and you're not letting other energies, you're not enmeshing with other energies. When you get to that space where you're really clear about discerning what your energy feels like versus being enmeshed with all these things around you, that's when the trust becomes more clear. That's when the knowing that this is my intuition, this is not my ego. Because we've built a container, we've built an environment where we've committed to this space where we understand how the different parts of us interact with the world. And with the mind, like the whole journey here is really about creating space between the mind and intuition. The mind is something that gets to be a processor. The mind is something that I personally rejected for a long time when I left corporate. Corporate Kristen doesn't know anything. Corporate Kristen kept me stuck, blah, 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 right? But what I realized eventually was that I started to see my mind processing intuitive messages that I was getting. I'd be in the middle of a session, I'd get a huge message, and I could feel and see my mind just processing it. And it was actually really beautiful. And so it's not that the mind goes away, that the ego goes away, but that we shift the way we're utilizing it. Shift our relationship to it. Again, so that we can better understand when we create that space and the mind no longer controls, ego no longer controls, then we can shift it into using it as a processor, using it as this beautiful interpreter of our messages. Some people really struggle with this, especially visions. Like when people get visions and they're not tuned into their other senses, it can be really difficult to put together a message from this is what I'm seeing. So if this is happening to you, for my more advanced people on here, what you want to do is focus on opening up your other senses. How can you ask for the messages to come in different ways? You know? Practice clearing more energy and opening up your senses. And then let your brain process. Let your brain put the pieces together. So over time, as you build this discernment within yourself, it becomes easier to understand, like, oh, okay, like that's my ego and that's my intuition. And one of the girls on that post that about ego versus intuition, one of the girls said, that she does tune in a lot, but it's hard to get her ego to be quiet. And my response to her was, and this is a beautiful shift in ego perspective, because many of us, especially those of us who are on this journey of enlightenment, we look at the ego and we think it's bad, it shouldn't be here, it's disruptive. And the thing about the ego is that the ego is only going to come up when we're growing. It's only going to come up when we're expanding, when we're shifting, when we're taking it out of its comfort zone, right? The ego is based in survival. It's based in fear. And so it's actually a good sign when it comes up, because it's a sign that we are growing. So then again, it becomes about how can you manage that relationship? How can you create more space? Back to what I was saying before. The more space you create, the quieter it becomes, the more you can hear. It's really about taking your power back from the ego and letting it know, like learning how to harness it in a way that's beautiful and that processes this information, because that's a really incredible way to utilize the mind. Trust is a journey. It's not something that happens overnight, that you just decide, I'm going to just start trusting, And let me also say, just because I'm very aware of the words that I use, you could do that. You could say, I'm just going to start trusting. And what's important there is that you're remembering that. So you're coming back to, because you're going to deal with all the things that come up and make us not want to trust or make us doubt. Right? But your commitment to trusting has to be greater than all of those little distractions that are going to pop up along the way. This road, it's, again, I want to be careful about, like, I don't want to instill limiting beliefs here. What I was going to say was that it's not an easy road. And that doesn't mean that it has to be hard, or it has to be a struggle, or it has to be climbing uphill. It just means that there's a conscious commitment here to come back over and over again to what we decided we were going to do. I'm going to be on this path. I'm going to trust my intuition. I'm going to lean into surrender. I'm going to be on my mission in life. I'm going to share my wisdom. I'm going to learn how to process this infinite wisdom within me so that I can bring it out into the world, because I know that I have access to it because it belongs here. It's not meant to be kept within me. And so along the way, like, I'm looking at, like, I'm moving quickly. And so I'm so focused on, like, the next thing and living in that next moment that sometimes I forget to share, what's happened. And then I'm like, oh, it's not it's not worth sharing. But if I just kept going then and not sharing from that space, because it's like I have this thing where I'm out of the energy. It's like I've moved on. I moved out of that energy, and when I share, I want to be fully in the energy. I want that energy to come through in my share. That's important to me because it's all part of the message. It's all part of the way that it lands, right? When I'm in the moment, when I'm in the flow, when I'm teaching like this, like I'm really convicted. I'm like, this is this is it, you know? I mean, I'm just it excites me. And so I have to remember this. I have to remember these moments that like, oh, this is why I do this. This is my evidence, right? This is me completing the cycle. Saying I'm going to go live and then I follow through with it. And then I recognize and reflect on how I feel. This lights me up. And so we take that evidence and that knowing that came through us and that we followed through on it, and we do more of that to build that trust. It takes time. This journey, the journey to trust, the journey to surrender is more about us continuing to choose ourselves over and over again. And let me tell you, when I first went to therapy and I started looking at standing up for what I needed and saying no to others, it felt really selfish to me. It felt really selfish. And it took me a while to get past that and to recognize that, oh, when I choose me, it's better for everyone, not just me. Because when I do that, I'm choosing to release from the matrix. I'm choosing to unstick and to go on the journey that was meant for me. And in the beginning, especially in the beginning, when you're choosing yourself over and over again, you're gonna feel people trying to pull you out of it. You know, relationships are gonna fall away. They're going to shift. They're going to, when you, like, people are gonna question it, you know? Who is this Kristen in front of me? I don't know who you are anymore because you've changed so much. You're not who you were. And that can be difficult to hear that from family and friends that we've known for a long time, when you let those relationships shift and say, you know what? This is more important for me to be on this path than it is for me to attend to the way that you feel about me being on this path. That's the trust. That's the journey. Let me think if there's anything else I want to say about trust. I just want to reiterate that everything you need is inside of you. Every answer that you've ever desired is waiting inside of you. Stop looking to other people to tell you what you need to do in your life. They don't know better. And let me also say that it's okay to talk to people and get perspective, right? But always, always discern it through your own channel. Discern what is true for you. That's trust. That's the ultimate trust. Everything that I'm saying, as convicted as I am in the things that I teach, in the information that comes through my channel, I get to be convicted. And I'm somebody who can hold space for the fact that, you know what, your truth is something else, and that's totally fine too. The fact that I can stay in my conviction and believe in my truth, that is trust. You know? And maybe in those moments, there might be something in you that questions and is like, well, that is a valid perspective, right? Because it doesn't mean that when we're convicted in our own truth that we can't see someone else's. We absolutely can. And maybe that refines what we see, right? Maybe that helps us remove a little bit more ego from our truth. Because honestly, guys, if any of us were completely ascended and like everything that we say is, I mean, I'm not going to say it's not possible. You know, but getting like to the ultimate truths, right? I don't know. That's like, we're going to have to tune into that one another time. But my point is that open yourselves to others, open your heart to others, allow that perspective to come in, because that perspective oftentimes will point us in the direction of where we do still have ego, where we do have things to clear. But there are some things that I'm telling you that I've received with such certainty and resonance that there's not a lot that's going to change that. You know, but again, that's me discerning through my own channel. It's me knowing, like, yeah, no, this is truth for me. This is it. Okay. I think that's enough on trust. Listen, tonight at 7:30, I'm going live for a Q&A. Come and ask all the questions. There's a post in the group. Go ahead and ask anything that you want about intuition. And I'm going to answer that tonight on the live. So don't miss it. I'll see you tonight at 7:30. Sending lots of love. If you have any other questions on trust, pop them here and I'll answer them later tonight. Or any of the other lives that I did. Don't be afraid to ask questions. It's my favorite place to be. I love to answer them. So sending lots of love.